yeah, so I guess Christopher West, he has been such this dominant voice in the theology of the body interpretation for so long. And I think that there is a gap in not his understanding, but like the way that he talks about it and our understanding of theology of the body because he has been so influential. Because his like conversion into this is very much a conversion of, oh, my body's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's something that I've struggled with personally, like, oh, my body's not a bad thing, right? But I think like that was such a given because that was preached like preached a lot when I was a kid. It was like, your body's not a bad thing. I was like, cool, I get it, awesome. Like now, okay, what about the spiritual dimension?
Welcome to The Crunch, the only podcast that's bound in leather and print to ship. It's your boy Ethan.
And I'm Patrick. And this is a podcast called The Crunch, where we try to find out if Catholics can be funny. And according to a couple of strangely attractive seminarians, that jury is still out. Ethan, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was intimidated by Joey from the Logos podcast
because he was so lean and slender,
and yet defined.
I think the word I'm looking for is lithe. I think is how
he
would
was
describe
lithe.
him.
Is that what he was? He was lithe. He was an instrument used for harvesting corn and wheat.
No, he was a tool. He was a tool used to quickly spin wood and shape it into a particular piece of like a lathe.
A lathe. I thought that was a town in Kansas.
The podcast is over. Comedy podcast is done. Don't ever make fun of Olathe ever again.
I had a friend in college who was from Olathe, and I mispronounced it. I was like, "Oh, I have a friend who's from Kansas. He's from like Olathe or something." And she was like, "Wow, you mispronounced it." I was like, "Listen. First of all, fair. Sorry, I didn't mean to mispronounce your homeland. Second of all, suburbs don't get to do that. That's my opinion. Suburb towns don't get to feel important enough to be named, you know?"
Well, Patrick, it is named after a Native American tribe, so it looks like
if they were that important, they'd still be around.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize to...
Well. If there was a group of Olathians still around, I would apologize.
Who was it that I was talking to? We were talking about mascots, about the oh my gosh, who was it? There's like we were talking about Native American mascot controversies because the Florida State Seminoles.
The Seminoles are back. Oh.
Yeah, the Seminoles. Excuse me, sir. Not in this house. Not in this Gator house. All right.
Oh.
The Seminoles are allowed to keep their mascot. I think it's because the Seminole tribe is like super into it. They love it.
Cool with it. And because they're cool with it, do you know what they get to have at the beginning of every game? They get to have like a Native American warrior with a horse and like a flag that he slams into the ground at the beginning of every game. It's awesome.
Right? It's awesome.
And the Washington Commanders have like a little guy in a hat walk out and issue orders to his brigadier generals, and that's all that they can do.
Culture. That's culture. But
it's American culture, that's for sure.
Oh, it was my friend. Michael. He went to a college that I guess will remain nameless, and he was complaining because he was like their mascot was named after a Native American tribe that no longer exists. And so they had to change the name because they didn't have a tribe to be like, no, this is cool. And they tried to like issue an apology to like local Native American tribes, but those Native American tribes were like, we don't care that you're the fighting, I'm not gonna make up a name, but
Sure,
you know what I mean.
sure. Yeah.
And
They're busy
yeah,
fighting a lot of socioeconomic issues, and,
sure, yeah. But it was just
they are.
funny. It was just now the one trace of this tribe has been permanently wiped away. Uh,
It's a crazy thing
by
because, like,
yeah,
the state of Kansas is named after a Native American tribe, you know?
indeed.
And I get that Kanza is not necessarily maybe an offensive, term such as redskin or reds, so I get
Oh, is
that.
that Kanza Catholic? Is that why it's called
That's
that?
why it's called the Kanza Catholic is because
Whoa.
it's yeah. But it is kind of a bummer
Why is
because a
that
lot
like
of the people I
Arkansas?
know a lot of people with Redskins gear, and they're like, "What do I do with this now?" This is a very
Yeah,
2019 discourse point,
definitely.
uh,
Super, yeah.
but it's relevant because you go to Florida State and you're a Seminole,
Nope, incorrect.
and you're going, "Whoa, whoa, daylight comes, we don't want to go home," and then you win the football game.
Yep,
Is that correct?
that's what happens.
Can I tell you why I'm in a good mood right now?
Why? Because
If you
I
just
got
look over
roasted and
here,
you didn't?
yes, and we'll talk about it in a second. If you just look over here to my right, my son is not sleeping in that closet anymore.
That's huge. He's
So
in a room.
I can use my full vocal range,
Wow,
which means, do
that's
you know what that
incredible.
means? Do you know what that means, Patrick?
What does that means?
I'll tell you what it means. It means I'm back. I've been
Yeah?
away. I've been
Yeah?
away. I'm back on the podcast. I'm back on Twitter, tweeting bangers. All it took was Amber Rose replying LMAO under my tweets, and now they're doing great. A lot of engagement, more than whenever you would
That
retweet me.
I
So
guess that's fair. Yeah, maybe I should, like, pay her $10 to comment under all of my tweets, you
no, we
know?
just make tweets. We change our whole media strategy, and we just start making things that Amber thinks is funny. And she just
Because
responds LMAO.
she does now.
She
Her Twitter
Yeah.
knows that she generates controversy.
Mhm.
Um, good
Dude,
for
that was
her.
nuts. That was
It's
nuts.
good for her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Dude, I found the guy that was, like, commenting at you for, like, a
Which
long time.
guy?
I like the guy that was like, "Have something to share, Ethan." I found
Oh,
his
yeah.
profile. I found his LinkedIn. It took everything I had not to.
Yeah.
It took everything but it wouldn't have been fair because he's just, like, a tiny little account, and it was clear he was, like, still in college, and I'm an adult
Yeah.
man with a
Right.
job and like,
Right.
it if you have a really large audience, it's not fair to use that large audience and just pummel someone into the ground,
Right. I think
hypothetically.
hypothetically, I think, so my theory is a lot of people so there was a guy, this is crazy. So there was a gentleman
Mhm.
who responded to our friend Amber Rose. We were on her podcast. You should listen to it. And she posted her engagement photos,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
were
That was
fine,
really
normal
funny.
engagement photos. And this guy responds, and he's like, "According to Catholic teaching, you cannot hold hands or kiss before marriage." And he posted all these sources, but like half of them were in Latin. Like nobody could read them. So no one could actually verify what he was saying. And he was just saying, "I guess you guys don't believe in Catholic doctrine." And everyone was like, "We would believe it if you posted sources in English, bro. Like we
Yeah.
can't we can't verify what you're saying." And I quote tweeted him and I said, "Post a picture of your face." Because not because
For
I want to
obvious
shame
reasons.
him, not because I want to shame him. And I think a lot of times people will see that and be like, "Oh, Ethan, that's mean." You're trying to figure out if this guy's actually ugly and therefore making it okay to dunk on him. That's not what I'm saying at all.
No, you're
I
trying
just
to
think
see
that
if he's ugly.
if you're not willing to take a photograph of your face and
Yeah,
put it online, then
yeah.
you don't get to say insane crap to people. You know,
No,
like
you have to
if
back
you're
that up.
if your face is out there and you are willing to own it and willing to risk whatever it entails, say whatever you want. But if you're hiding behind a Crusader picture, you don't get to say stuff. So I think my new strategy on Twitter to maximize my time left on this planet is
Post a picture of your face.
is I'm going to start agreeing with right-wing talking points because I'm in this unique position where I agree with the people on the far right much more than anyone suspects of me. But I also think that all of them are losers. And so I can kind of I can kind of play both
Yeah,
sides. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
I
then we
like
can start
this.
to
This
make
is
some
good.
money, man.
Yes.
Alright.
We can start selling e-commerce drop shipping products that we get from
Yes.
China and say American made because we printed something on them in America.
That's not what I was thinking, but if you would like to do that,
No?
go right ahead.
Everybody, buy our water filtration system.
Is that something that people sell via drop shipping?
Well, I mean, no, but that's a common thing that that right wing guys sell because one of the things that they promote on their shows is an attitude of the world is collapsing, so you need to be self sufficient. And so they
Ah,
sell things like water filtration systems and food insurance. Um, Glenn Beck sold food insurance, and
food
I'll never
insurance?
forget that because I remember thinking, do
So,
I
like, if I
just
buy a potato and it's bad, I can get a new potato?
no, I think it's like if supply chain breaks down, they'll send you food. But it's like in
What if
what
the supply chain
universe,
breaks
if they
down?
can't get food to grocery stores,
How are they gonna get
how
the
are
food to the
you gonna
food
get
insurance
food to your
place?
house? And
Yeah.
so Alex Jones
Glenn
sells like
Beck.
emergency preparedness, like MREs, like he sells those. So you
Food
can
liability insurance. What? How have I never
mhm.
heard of this?
You didn't
Food
listen to Glenn Beck in 2012
No, why would I? Why would I listen to
because
it?
you had conservative parents
Yeah, I did.
and
It
Obama was in president.
It's for it looks like it's for business, bakers, caterers, commercial kitchens, farmers markets, food carts, food festivals, food trucks, food
Oh, no,
vendors.
no, 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 no. That's if you the food liability insurance, it sounds like if you get sued because
Yeah,
you gave
because
someone food poisoning.
your meat is raw.
It's
We
like
don't want
medical
that.
malpractice.
Food
Yeah, it's different.
insurance for boys. That's bringing up websites I don't need. Food insurance prepper. That's maybe is gonna get me to the right spot. My Patriot Supply. That's what
There it
I'm
is.
looking
That's
for.
what you're
There
looking
it
for.
is.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay. So they ship fast, as you'd expect, from the original and largest Patriot Survival Company. Our emergency food storage kits have a shelf life of up to 25 years. When you're ready for
That's
real
crazy.
preparedness, make sure to look for Ready Hour Foods from My Patriot Supply. This is not sponsored, but man, I think I might have to invest. You
They're
know,
going up.
25 year long supply. I could get a bucket of creamy chicken flavored rice that'll last me for 25 years, Patrick.
It's pretty
25
crazy.
years. And surely by that time I'll figure out how to hunt. You know, it's really just to kind of
It's kind of tied you over.
yeah. We 7 you could
Here's
get
my thing
seed
is
packets.
seed
What's the
packets,
deal of the
yeah.
day? You do the podcast. I'm going to shop.
Okay. So while Ethan is doing that, I am going to figure out the best. We had a really successful episode years ago on how to start a grift, and we
We
didn't
did.
even
Do it.
we didn't. This was a key part of starting a grift, by the way. It was
Not doing
you
it?
fear monger, and then you sell the thing that's the solution. It's like your show is
Supply
essentially
and
one
demand.
long sale. This is
Sell me this
the
pen.
yeah leverage, and the stock exchange, business terms. We all know this. Um,
NASCAR.
our
I mean,
problem,
NASDAQ.
Nasdaq. Yeah, I trade on the NASCAR.
Yeah, I tried
Uh,
on a NASCAR.
the NASCAR 500.
What's your ticker?
The
It,
Daytona 500 is actually just an index of the top 500 companies in Daytona.
how has nobody ever made that joke? The Daytona 500 and the NASCAR, I'm sure somebody has made it. That's really funny. What's your ticker? Mine's DEJ. You can find me $DEJ for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Taylor
You
and
look
Hart
me up. Look me up. You can invest. Do not invest in Dale Earnhardt Sr. That is not going to get you any good returns. For he
No.
died tragically on the racetrack.
Instead of the graph going up and to the right, it just goes to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left.
as you can see,
Yeah.
our profits are
As you can
somewhat
see, our
circular.
quarterly projections are just infinite. It just goes really fast.
We've invented perpetual motion.
They're going fast and they're going left. Have you seen that video?
Probably.
It's a guy who's just like absolutely hammered. The sun is directly above him. It's
Oh
noon.
yeah.
He is
Yes.
gone.
He's
And
gone.
he's
He's
like, it's a
disappeared.
great day at the racetrack. They're going fast. and they're going left. It's great.
Patrick, should we podcast live from a NASCAR race? Do you think
maybe
would we get killed? Like, would they look at our tiny pale bodies and say, "You don't belong here"?
Dude, I talk about NASCAR more often than you would think. It's
It's your Roman
tell a
Empire.
story. I tell a story. It is my Roman Empire. I tell a story about there's an analogy in the DE sales pitch about NASCAR, and that's all I'll say. And
Okay.
I say that analogy about NASCAR every like 3 times a day, every day for weeks.
Look at you.
I think about NASCAR 3 times a day. So it's yeah, it's a lot. But
that is a lot.
Where were we? What were we talking about before we were talking
We're
about
podcasting live at NASCAR.
Daytona. The top 500 companies in Daytona is such a small little town.
It would be the most inaudible podcast of all time because we would get a few words in and then just.
How is podcast but outside doing? Because that was a funny little bit they did. They would go outside and do a podcast.
They're on the gram. That was a cool idea. I think if we could seize the day, carpe.
We could just do that. We could podcast outside.
Outside. What are they up to? Podcast but outside. They have 142,000 followers. They're doing well, I would say.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, like they're it looks like they're doing really well. And we have so far to go, Patrick. We have so far to go.
Hey, look, if you felt like we had nowhere to go, then that would mean we've plateaued, and we've not plateaued. We're going up and to the left.
We're never gonna plateau. We're never gonna plateau.
No.
We're always improving. Again. We're always growing. Again,
we're never gonna plateau again.
Yeah, we did plateau
but
once.
We never fell off. Hey, we're back to our pre-Crunchback numbers, guys. Crunchback of Notre Dame was a mistake. We'll never do it again. I promise.
People don't know what that is.
Tell
people what that was.
We did like a bonus podcast thing where we read through the Hunchback of Notre Dame every
by
week.
Victor Hugo.
By Victor Hugo. We thought it was going to be fun for our listeners. They did not like it. Everybody left Patreon.
We lost hundreds of dollars in monthly
hundreds
support.
of dollars. And we finally got it back. And I think we should do Les Mis.
You want to do another book?
Yep, I think we should say welcome. Get out.
I think we should do Les Mis the musical with Hugh Jackman.
You really liked that joke.
I thought it was really funny.
Hugh Jackman. Huge jacked man.
Huge.
Dude,
huge jacked man.
I thought you sent that Donald Trump eating beans video to the podcast account because you were thinking of recreating it yourself. And I was like, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
That would be really
disgusting. Good. My son really enjoys beans. Have I talked about this on the podcast?
No, but I think now's the time.
My son Leo enjoys black beans straight from the can, not cooked or heated up at all. Sometimes we heat them up, we mash them, and we put them on bread with hummus. A hummus and black bean sandwich, a good old HBB, Sammy.
That sounds disgusting.
It does sound, but he loves it.
A lot of starchy kind of feeling in the mouth, you know.
Phoebe goes, these beans smell like Leo's poop. I'm like, no, Phoebe, Leo's poop just smells like beans because he eats beans.
Yeah.
I took Leo over to Grandpa and Nana's house on Sunday, and Dad just kind of watched him, and I did my thing. I just hung out. Yeah, a little Sunday. And my dad, I forget why. I had to move things around. I went to my parents' house and they had stuff they had to move. And so I was like, I'll do it because Dad turned 60 and so he's old now.
So he's done.
And we're good. And so I'm moving things around. I'm like, Dad, can you feed Leo dinner? And he's like, sure. And my dad I get back and you
come downstairs, your dad is breastfeeding your child.
No, worse. He is feeding him directly out of the can because Leo ate all the beans that I put in a bowl for him. And the can, which was freshly opened, is more than halfway done.
Oh, wow.
And my dad's like, he just keeps eating.
He just
and I'm
keeps
like, that's probably
beans.
because you keep feeding him.
Him beans.
That's all he had for dinner was just 2/3 of a can of beans.
Beans.
And
dude.
Beans.
And how
The
was he
kid,
afterwards?
he was out. He was like,
Like,
"I
he
am
passed out?
full. I am beamed up. I am ready to go to
Dang.
sleep." And he went to bed and he was like, "I am out."
It was like in
So
an episode of Star Trek. "Scotty,
beam
beam me up.
beam me up, Scotty.
Beam me
Yeah,
up,
I just
Scottward."
he is just so he is thriving. He is caffeinated. He is
Mhm.
moisturized, and he is full of beans,
He's beanful.
as every baby should be.
Yeah. That's cool. My son, he doesn't eat beans yet.
No,
He'd like to.
does he
He
chew
does
things? Does he have head control?
well,
He's 10 months old.
he's got
Oh
control out
yeah,
the
he sits
wazoo.
up. Yeah.
He sits up, he's doing all kinds of things. He likes the meatball. That's the new
Ooh.
you put a meatball in front of my son, you you would think that you just fed a dog that's been starved for weeks, because
He's a
he splits his time evenly between grabbing it with his fingers and just putting his full head on the table and sucking like the vacuum from Teletubbies. Which is crazy to watch, because I like look over once and he's like delicately, like there's that song playing in the background, dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun, dun, and he's expertly putting it in his
Springtime by
mouth.
Vivaldi, but yeah.
Springvald by Maltese Falcon. And then the next moment I look over and he's and it's just like, brother, that is not what you think it is. And
Oh
I need
man,
you
that
to go back.
having kids is so fun. If you're on the fence, just go for it.
Just do it. What are you talking?
It's
Like, what are you
great.
waiting for?
It's
It's not
great, man.
expensive. Everyone's lying about
No,
how much it costs. It does not cost $500,000 to raise a kid. The only reason it does is if you send them to private school and hire a nanny. But what people don't tell you is that with Catholic school, you can just dress them up in the same outfit as everyone else and just send them in there, and they'll get to the right
they
spot.
won't notice.
They won't notice. So do. Why don't I don't understand why more
Just
people don't do that.
yeah, I don't get it.
No. I did see a post on Reddit. This kid was complaining about how at their school they've launched this new program to curb phone usage,
Sure.
and they're making all of these kids have these magnetic pouches
Mm,
to place the phone in, and then they get magnetically locked, and then they have the pouch with them all day, but the phone is locked inside. And
yes.
apparently the district got like $800,000 to buy all these bags for these phones, and this kid is like, this sucks. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, people adults still haven't figured out that kids are infinitely more resourceful than them, because kids have way more time to think about how to evade rules and procedures than adults do. Adults are like, I gotta freaking pay the mortgage, I gotta get the gas bill turned on, and I gotta go to get my tires rotated. Like, they're thinking about all those things. Kid is like, how do I be on Twitter 5 minutes more per day every day for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking about. They're gonna why don't we just I've thought about this. Put teenagers in charge of the government.
That's the show.
That's the show. That's a good
That's the
idea.
show. That's the
I think
show.
I think we don't lead with that, maybe.
It's kid nation, but it's teenage nation. That's a bad idea.
It's kids bop, but instead of them singing bops, we bop them on the head with hammers.
Kids
And
bop, but
it's a
it's
show where we
assault.
hit kids.
Yeah. No,
Anyway,
I think the bag thing is a good idea, but there's no
yeah,
way that they haven't broken those things open at least a
I'm
couple
pretty
of
sure you
times.
can just buy a key that'll unlock it on Amazon for $10.
Probably. The crazy thing that I don't think adults understand. My mom works with kids that have behavior issues, and so
Mm.
she talks about this sometimes, anonymously, of course, because HIPAA, um, which is a big scary hippopotamus that'll attack you if you reveal private health information. That's what I've been told.
Isn't HIPAA one of the backyardigans?
Yeah, and and she works with these parents that are having kids that have kids with behavior issues, and a lot of times she's like, you know that you can just like take the iPad, right? She won't stop watching the iPad. Take it.
You can just have it. You can put it in the
You could just
fridge.
you could just take it. You could actually sell it. You
You
could
could, in
destroy it.
a dramatic show of force, you could snap it over your knee like a clipboard.
You know what's crazy? When my son has a pen, that I don't want him to have anymore, I just take it and he cries for 2 seconds and then he stops. And his mom feels really bad, but I don't.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
That's
what
the thing
fatherhood
about
is, baby.
guys is
Think
not
about
feeling bad
dads.
when their kid is crying when their wife can't.
Yeah.
That's the whole
That was
vocation.
Leo's kinda regressing in his sleep, and he's crying a lot
Mm,
when he goes to bed.
mhm.
He's crying for more than 5 minutes, which he was dude, he would, like, cry for a second, then go right to bed. It was, like, glorious for a couple months. And Phoebe's sitting there, like, on the bed, like, "This is okay, right?" I'm like, "Yes, honey, it's okay." I was like, "Hey, look at this funny reel," and our son is screaming in the other
Screaming in the
room.
background.
She's like, "Are you gonna go get him? It's been 5 minutes." And I was like, "I actually was not gonna go get him, but I will. Sorry." Like,
That's
look at
literally
Ethan sent me this bean thing. It's a
like
bean.
30
I
minutes
gotta
ago, me and
refund it.
Emma we were watching Arrested Development, and Peter was just
Yeah.
screaming in the next room, which was really funny to just see like Michael Bluth, interacting with his family in a bunch of hijinks, and then my son just in
Oh
the next
boy.
room, not knowing that we're enjoying ourselves.
Yes.
We're 25 minutes in. I suppose if you
Yeah. Mm,
feel like it, since we're
mhm.
deep enough into the episode that all the casuals will have left by now, if you keep messing with the camera, I'm gonna kill you.
I am blurry, and I want to be clear for the boys and girls.
Sorry, just the way that you said that was really funny.
I am blurry, and I will I will be clear on this, but let me be clear.
Aw.
Oh.
Oh, there's so many thoughts rushing through my head. I'm thinking of all these Harry Potter parodies of people imitating the kids at the chessboard scene,
Uh-huh.
and it's like just Ron screaming to Harry about his need to be clear for the podcast, and he goes, "Not me, not Hermione, you." But it's just instead of going forward to fight Voldemort, it's like getting your video settings right, which is just stupid. There's like no way to communicate why I thought that was funny in my head.
No, you've lost me and everyone
I'm
else. But
st- I'm
now that the casuals are definitely gone.
Yeah. So
Do
let's
you
talk
want to
about
talk
the
about
Christopher West thing. We can just
yeah.
tear into it briefly since we
So
have
the,
no other topic for today.
for those who don't know, I on a couple weeks ago, it was a couple months ago,
Yeah.
I made some jokes about Christopher West. I
You didn't
goofed
make
on
jokes about Christopher West. You made comments about the theology of the body.
yeah. Well, first
I
off, I
made
goofed
jokes about Christopher West, and they didn't get any airtime on the
yeah.
show.
And so
Ugh,
I made some comments about the
my
theology
bad.
of the body, and we got a phone call from the TOB Institute, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna react to those." And I'm like, "Great, let's do
Great.
it. I'm in."
Perfect.
And that video released today. By the time you're hearing this on Sunday, released last week, etc. And um, yeah, I pretty much stand by what I said. Actually, I know that that's probably not what some folks wanted to hear, but Chris had some really great points about how. So
Does he
what
go
I
by
said
Chris?
was
Chris
what
West?
Christopher West.
Chris
I think
West?
you can refer to him as Chris, but if you're saying the whole name, you got to go Christopher West.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this was. I'll say this to the audience. I don't know if I would say this to Christopher West himself because
Chris West.
it may come across as mere flattery. But what I said was uh, overemphasis on marriage, emphasize celibacy. Celibacy teaches more than marriage teaches celibacy. What I actually said was uh, celibacy, marriage has nothing to teach celibacy that celibacy doesn't already know about itself. I do stand by that. I think that the concept of celibacy and the concept of marriage. Now, I think what I will say, and I'm out of the weeds. I'm going to out of the weeds in a second. Individual married people can teach individual celibate people things about celibacy because that's just how like Christian life works. But I think that as a whole, celibacy is higher than marriage. And so like celibacy is higher than marriage. The beatific vision is higher than celibacy. Beatific vision, never mind. It doesn't matter.
It
I
does matter.
okay, fine. I'll explain it then.
Well, here's the thing, is
What?
I think that at a very fundamental level, Christopher West sees marriage as the key to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he disagreed with you. and
Yes.
you just disagree fundamentally that marriage is the key to everything, which I think is the reason that so many things happened, was because theology of the body teaches that marriage and sexuality is the key to everything. And so you saying marriage and sexuality is not the key to everything very clearly set off some alarm bells in the people who teach and know theology of the body.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. What Chris I'm willing to be wrong about that celibacy thing, by the way. I am open to that. I think that we should have a conversation about it. What he said was that John Paul II says they shine light on each other. I think that's fair. From my perspective, I see a lot of marriage shines light on celibacy and not the other way around.
Right. So
Now,
just like your
that
lived experience as a man who's married, what kind of
yes,
what does celibacy do to your marriage?
yeah. And
Not that
my
much.
lived experience, and this is, and Chris is like, this is what I've spent my whole life talking about, right? Like we need to use marriage and see it as a key to like understand God. And I think that that's exactly my point. Is like I've grown up in a world that has always had Christopher West in it. Like I was a baby when he was reading
Right.
TOB for the first time. I might not even have
Right.
been born yet. And so my entire TOB experience has been formed through marriage helps us understand God, and marriage helps us understand celibacy, and celibacy is kind of like marriage. And so my kind of like maturing in TOB is the other way around of like
Mm-hmm.
celibacy has something to teach us about marriage in the same way that the beatific vision has something to teach the celibate man and woman of how they are supposed to live on earth. And I guess like my kind of gripe with theology of the body as it's presented is that it's not theology of the body. That's reductive. It's a theology of the human person. And the human person is more than a body. And what I was accused of was rejecting the body. However, I think that there's one extreme going in one way of rejecting the body, one extreme going rejecting the soul. Not rejecting the soul, but you know what I mean.
Denying the
I
spiritual.
yeah, overemphasizing the lower in order to understand the higher, and then there's an de-emphasizing the lower in order to overemphasize the higher. I think I'm guilty of that second one if I'm guilty of anything, and I'm willing to be wrong about that. But yeah, so I guess Christopher West, he has been such this dominant voice in the theology of the body interpretation for so long, and I think that there is a gap in not his understanding, but like the way that he talks about it and our understanding of theology of the body because he has been so influential. Because his like conversion into this is very much a conversion of, oh, my body's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's something that I've struggled with personally, like, oh, my body's not a bad thing, right? But I think like that was such a given because that was like preached a lot when I was a kid. It was like your body's not a bad thing. I was like, cool, I get it, awesome. Like now, okay, what about the spiritual dimension? There's a lot in theology of the body that gets underemphasized because it gets reduced to chastity and purely physical things. And so I think there's room in the TOB discussion to talk about something else and to overemphasize other things. But yes, I was dunked on live. And also I think that he reacted to it live and so he didn't like it's also it's a comedy podcast. So is he expecting to hear, a theological opinion? No, of course not.
Right. Right.
But what did suck was he was like, they're denying the incarnation, which be careful. You can't just say
Yeah.
that about someone because they'll lose a book
Yeah.
deal. And I'm just kidding. That's not gonna
Dang.
happen.
Hey, man, I have a job too that I could lose for denying the incarnation.
It's true, you could because it's a Catholic organization. So
It's not. I wouldn't, but everyone would be vastly disappointed in me if I did.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I have two thoughts of a meta nature. Thought number one, I'm glad that I don't know anything about theology or philosophy because you just can't get in trouble.
It's
You know,
true. It's easier to become a saint if you don't ever talk about theology
I
ever.
I know enough to feel superior to the average person, and that's about all I need. You know,
Oh, yeah.
but I just don't. I was realizing today as we were talking to the Logos guys and then all this Christopher West stuff. I'm like, man, I really don't know anything. And that's good. It's good that I don't know anything. You know, like the things that I care about learning in my life are like, I need to learn when to plant apple trees in my backyard. You know, that's the kind of stuff
Yeah.
that I need to know about. Like, I don't really like it's important, especially
Mm.
if I want to like teach about it, but I need to be informed enough to answer questions. But I don't need to become like a teacher. And I think that's okay. I think
Yeah.
the second meta comment is as we grow in our fame and or notoriety, um, we gotta start watching what we say.
Oh
We got
boy, do we.
we we gotta start being careful.
Oh man.
Never
Yeah.
never have
Uh-huh.
Patrick and I had to worry about saying things that would make people upset because before no one
No
listened to
one
our
no
podcast.
heard about our are you kidding me? Yeah,
Yeah.
the I was sitting in that room. It was that room over there. I was sitting in that room over there and I was thinking, Christopher West, are you kidding me? The guy what does he care what we have to say? He's never
Yeah.
gonna listen to this. He's set, it's like a little chihuahua yapping at a Doberman.
Mm,
That's I was like, that's gotta be because the guy's a
Doberman.
pat the guy is so secure that to disagree with him is perceived as disagreeing with the church.
Yeah. Which is kind of
And
crazy.
right? And so like I was like this guy, but then I got that email and I was like, well, it's been fun podcasting.
Right.
I guess I'm fired. I'm gonna get
This is
fired off
the
my own
this
podcast.
this is the closest we've ever actually gotten to say goodbye to your precious podcast.
This is actually Phoebe listened to it and she was like, this is not good. She was like, this is
Really?
bad. Yeah. Well, a lot of it was like he would respond to something that I said, and I don't. He wasn't really like addressing directly what I said. Is
Sure.
that fair?
He was using the stuff that we said in the podcast to launch into a teaching moment about
Yes,
the stuff
which
that we
is
were talking
good
about.
and
Yes.
fine. Yes,
Yeah,
and it's
which is
good.
the whole point of the video. The whole point of the video was that people often misconstrue theology of the body. And in our joking banter section of that podcast a few weeks ago, we misconstrued the theology of the body. And so Christopher
Yeah,
West was
using it
laying
as a
out.
teaching moment, which is good.
Yes. Yeah, which is great.
I think that he and I could have a great conversation about the the relationship between celibacy and marriage, and I think I would learn I know I would learn a lot uh,
Yes.
from
Yes.
that
And
conversation.
I would love that conversation because I mean I would get a week off from the podcast.
And I think that'd be great, but that wasn't the point of the video. But because unfortunately because it was like, oh, Patrick said this, and then he said, and John Paul II says this, and this is the heresy of Manichaeism and iconoclastic, etc. That made it sound as if I were those things, which I don't
Right.
think that he
I don't think he was
meant.
not intending to call
Yeah.
us heretics. If he
Mm-mm.
was, Christopher West is a good enough of a man that if he actually thought that we were committing heresy, he wouldn't just like spout off about it on a
Dunk.
YouTube live
Yeah.
stream. He would like call us and be like, "Hey, you have influence over people. You're committing
Stop.
these heresies. Please stop."
Yeah.
So I don't think that's
Yeah.
not at all what he was saying. He
Yeah.
was just like,
But Phoebe
if
was like,
you
oh no, this is bad.
right, Phoebe was like, "No, my husband's a mannequin. What do I do?"
I knew it.
So now I'm like, should I lock my Twitter account? Like, what if they find my
Maybe.
tweets? You know, like, what
No,
if someone?
I think it'd be really funny. Hold on, this is the bit. This is the bit where we go forward.
Uh
I
huh.
do a response video where I play the mannequin clip, and I just go like on a really like offended, like just so upset, and it slowly becomes clear that I thought he said mannequin.
Mm, that is
How
funny.
dare you?
That is really funny.
How dare you? I am not smooth down there. I have genitals, Chris, as you might be happy to hear since you love them so much.
Here's what's gonna happen is we're gonna keep
What?
doing podcasts like this. He's gonna keep taking clips, and we're
No,
just gonna
no, no. Please don't. I
he's
can't
gonna answer
handle it.
this and be like, Patrick, Ethan, why do you want to be smooth down there? Don't be smooth. It's like, no, Christopher, we don't
You
want
need
to
to
be
be
smooth.
crumpled like
I
this.
don't
You
know.
need
I'm
to be
crumpled down there. I promise. There's a lot of wrinkles.
Oh no, I think this was an important note that my mom had on her desk. Oh no, she's gonna be like, "Who crumpled my paper?" And I'm gonna be like, "It was me with my woundedness,
No,
mom."
it was an image of the theology
It
of the
was
body.
about it was an
You
image.
wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get it. Here, watch
Yeah,
this live stream.
look at here.
Oh goodness.
But that
I
was
think
fun.
so.
I've never jumped out of my seat. So if someone was like, "Patrick, they're roasting you live," and I was like, I didn't know he was gonna do it live.
Live on
I
the
knew it was
pod.
gonna be a video, but I didn't know they were gonna do it
Oh,
live. That was funny.
yeah, it just made
Yeah,
for quite an interesting day. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Anyway, yeah, definitely. If Christopher, if you're watching this, which is funny because last time I said he's never gonna watch it. This time I'm saying he is. So
No, just assuming he's
gonna this
listening
time.
to every single episode.
You and Jeff Bezos, the two eager listeners of our podcast.
Jeb.
Yeah, reach out because I want you to correct my misunderstanding. Like personally, it's very important to me, not
Yeah.
just because I want my own misunderstanding to be corrected, but because I do plan on talking about this more. And so if I'm wrong, I need to not be.
Yeah.
Because I could lead people into some dark places if I'm wrong. So please
Yes.
reach out and we'll have a conversation, and then the theology of the theology field will be that much clearer of minds.
Should we get an HR department?
You mean like a standards and practices department? That's what you want. HR is like, this person touched my butt, and not in like a theology of the body way. They touched it in like a what? Touching butts is part of the. Ask Katie Ruby. She talks about that all the time.
She does.
She's like, everyone needs. It's
I
kind of
just
weird, but
I just want someone to go to when I feel like you have gone too far.
oh, that's HR. Yeah, you
All
want
right.
HR.
Okay. Cool.
I think I thought you meant like we need someone to watch the podcast and be like, you can't say that joke about the Olathe Indians.
Well, that's what
Like,
our
you
wives are
can't.
for.
That's fair. Our wives, meet my wife, standard and practice. My two wives.
Standard and practice 500.
The S&P.
I'm
good.
Patrick. I'm legitimately, after the events of today and the certain things that have been set in motion.
Mm-hmm.
I am afraid. I'm afraid that something is going to get dredged. I'm afraid that they're going to muckrake and dredge. And then I'm going to have all of my muck and my dredge exposed, and I'm gonna be a gross little internet boy.
They were very kind to us. They took the best clips.
They did.
They took the ones where I sounded the most coherent and smart. Yeah. So I appreciate that.
But other people might not be as charitable as the Theology of the Body Institute YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So what do I do? Should I delete my Twitter again?
You're worried your chickens are gonna come home to roost?
I'm worried that my rooster is not even home to begin with.
This is my like I've been trying to work on meaning what I say. Right? You know I have this problem.
Yes.
Meaning what I say. I'm gonna be on the podcast at 8:30. Okay, I'm not. I should update Ethan, right? Like at the very least, you know.
This has been a positive development in our relationship.
Yeah. Because truth is an important aspect of life. Jesus is truth. And so meaning what I say, etc. I think part of that, the other side of that is not necessarily doubling down on something you've said, but like recognizing the wrong that you've done in the past and saying that was bad. Oh, well, and then moving on and not doing like the false humility and the I've changed and I've become a better probably taking
so much more to learn and
yeah, nothing like that. Just I think the most masculine thing you can do is be like, oh, that I stand by that. That was dumb. That was silly. That was not as silly as you're making it. But yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying. Like, I think that's the best thing to do in these situations. So, like, am I proud of everything I said in that Christopher West episode? No, I am not. And I think you deleted some stuff from the episode, and I appreciate that because I was off the cuff and I was frustrated about some other thing, and I took it. I found a thing to take it out on that I thought was never gonna hurt me, and I was wrong, and that was wrong and stupid and dumb and bad.
We're all just little specks of dirt on this big blue marble, and we're trying to find ways to control other specks of dirt. And we're gonna have a little dirt army, and we're gonna take the dirt army, and we're gonna invade France, and then we're gonna go from France.
No, Calais is not part of France. It's rightfully part of England.
If you think about it, if you just annex every country and say it's yours, it belongs to you now.
You know what? You know, if you just, make the World Bank dependent on your dollar and put an Air Force station in every country, they're just yours now. So,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that we did that. Man, are we the baddies?
No.
No, yeah. Certainly not.
No.
Well, that concludes our episode.
Does it really? Wow.
Well, we've been going for about 45, and we got another episode to do. It's late at night. There's trouble in Gadget
in
Town.
River City. Oh,
Gadget. What's the name of it? Lazy Town.
Lazy Town.
There's trouble in Lazy Town, and I, an unsuspecting claymation puppet, have to join forces with a man with a mustache who wears a little blue cap, who does flips,
and does push-ups.
And you are a girl who wears pink, and we're going to join forces to stop the man, and that's what the podcast is for the rest of time.
Yep. The Lazy Pod. The Lazy Cast.
Lazy boys. Well, we got to do the dating corner episode.
Anyway,
so.
I wouldn't worry too much, Ethan, about your chickens coming home to roost.
You don't think my rooster's out of the
no? I think if someone dredges up old stuff for you, I think you should just say, "Yep, I said that. I said the breast pump tweet, and I stand by it."
But here's my question for you.
What's that?
If someone corners you and says your co-host said these things, and if you disavow them, we'll give you $1 million. Would you disavow me if I was a worm?
I would consider it, but I would ultimately not.
$1 million cash in the bank, same day wire? You'd say no?
Ethan, I can make $1 million other ways. I can't make another friendship. Okay?
I'd sell you out in like 30 seconds. I'd think about it, but then I would do it.
Even knowing that?
And then I'd take the $1 million and I'd pay off my house, and then I'd buy you a house, and I would reclaim the friendship. See, I'm thinking and you're not. And that's why.
Actually, you're not thinking, because I live in Florida and $1 million doesn't even buy one house. So
I can get you a bungalow. I could get you a bungalow for $450,000.
A little bungalow.
$450,000.
$450K. I hope so.
3-bed, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet. I'd get you one of them. Where do you want to live?
Where do you want to live, huh?
Just name your price. I sold you out for a can of beans. That's the end of this show. We have a bonus show that we do every week on Patreon. And if you like this episode, you'll like the bonus show. It's really fun. We talk a lot about the inner workings of the podcast, the inner workings of our minds, and we're also explicit. And it's very fun.
We talk about the things that Christopher West can't. We
wouldn't even
dream. We are naked without shame. All right, that's where.
And that's where you want to be. And also, if you like what we're doing, we're just trying to do a comedy podcast from the perspective of the Catholic faith. And if you think that's an important project, give us $5 on Patreon. I mean, that would be a huge boon for our efforts. We're really trying to grow this thing, make it huge, and get this particular message out there. So patreon.com/thecrunch is the place to go. Patrick, do you have anything else for the people?
Just remember, I was gonna do a Theology of the Body quote, but just remember that you lost original innocence, but through God's grace, you can get it back, or something like that.
Just remember to always have love and responsibility.
God, Jesus Christ, when praying that they may all be one, as you and I are one, thus opening vistas previously closed to human reason, revealed that man, who is the only creature who willed for his own sake, is something. That's Gaudium et Spes. But I was forced to memorize that for Theology of the Body class, and I did not.
Bon Bodebecket.
Michael Waldstein.
Thank you all for listening. Please pray for us, and we will be praying for you. And we'll see you next time.